recording for the first algebra test, which if you were in Holton's Monday, Wednesday, Friday class, I do believe that your first algebra test is on Friday, but that really just depends on which class you're in and how fast your pace is. But either way, if you haven't taken it yet, this should help you. What I like to do for my first test, I put everything I thought I would need to know or was having problems with on my note card. Don't forget you can use a 3x5 inch note card. It's just a regular one. You can go to Walmart and buy a pack of them for like 98 cents. It's not a big deal. But that would be a lifesaver. Anything you found you've had a hard time learning or had a hard time keeping in your mind when you went to other things, those are things you need for that note card on the test. And it will help you out a lot in the long run. So, but a couple of things that I would put on mine if I was taking the test again was the quadratic equation. I'm hoping I'm spelling this right. And that is going to be x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. That you're going to want on your note card. It's going to help you a lot more than you actually think it would. Don't forget to go over factoring if that's a problem of yours. I had a friend of mine who preferred quadratic formula over anything because she hated to factor it, like dreaded it. I would put on my note card the powers of I, which is just like, oh yeah, make room. Which is just like I equals I squared equals a negative 1, I to the third power is going to equal negative 1 times I, and then I to the fourth power is going to equal 1. All right, if you know these four basics, you can basically do any other I problem. I would write an example on your card, like I to the 8th power. What does that equal? Well, let's look. If you have I to the 4th power, if you break this down and you do I to the 4th power times I to the 4th power, then you're going to have that equals 1 times 1. So your answer is going to be 1. It's not that big of a deal. It's easy to work out as long as you can do it. It's fine, obviously. But even with like I to the 5th power, you could do I to the 2nd times I to the 3rd, which would give you negative 1 times negative 1 times I, and that would equal 1 times I. If you want to see an example of that, it's on page 108 of your book, and if you wanted to further clarify, 1I is just going to be I in the end. Not a big deal. And you'll notice that there's a pattern if you pay attention. Like 5, you're going to get I. 8, you're going to get 1. In the book, it shows you 6, you get negative 1. 7, you get negative I. And that's exactly what you have here. Because if you simplify this farther, it's just negative I. So I should clarify that. And it basically repeats. All of that will repeat over and over again to infinity. I already showed you guys the quadratic formula, but if you want to look in the book, it's on page 110. multiplication properties for inequalities. That'll be on page 122 in your book. It says if A is greater than, or if A is less than B and C is greater than 0, then AC is less than BC, which you'll not really need to know that for the test, but that's just good to know in general. It's a generality rule. And don't forget the lessons you learned in the review chapters, which he might not have taught you some of them, but he did tell you to read over those. Believe it or not, you'll need that on your first test. I'm pretty sure that's all I can think of right now. Sorry if I'm not much more help. But you can always go and ask Colton before the test. If you were in class, if you ever have a test, you should be in class the day of that class beforehand. So if it was on a Friday, you should be in class on Wednesday. He will tell you everything you need to know for the test. Write it down, go home, get out your note card, write everything you can fit into there. Little handwriting works brilliantly. And you can use the front and back of the card, which for some reason a lot of people don't actually do. That's all I have for the first algebra test. Don't forget your calculator. You won't be able to use them if you don't have it, and he will show you no remorse for forgetting your calculator. So it's very important that you remember that. Remember your note card. There are people who make note cards and then forget them at their house. It's not useful for you at your house. That's all I have for you. So I'll sign off. Just good luck.